morning, and thank you to Andrew, thanks to Toyota, and thank you to the dealers for this invitation to South Africa. It's great here, and it was wonderful last night. I'm glad to see you all made it. As Andrew said, it was just a wonderful evening. This morning, we're going to talk about change driven by the voice of the customer. That's my favorite topic. We're going to cut it up in a couple of pieces. I'm going to spend approximately half an hour just talking to you, some of my experience over the last 30 years in change. And then we're going to spend about 15 minutes talking to you about some of the research that we've already done, and we'll move on then to some interactive tables. There are very few change strategies that I have not worked on. I've worked through product innovation strategies, I've worked change around supply chain strategies, process strategies, information system strategies, people management strategies. There's not much that I haven't hit my way through. Lately, I've gotten involved in this change as driven by the voice of the customer, and it's like finding gold. I have never seen anything like it. There is no quicker way to focus your organization, to get your people energized and involved in change than doing it through the eyes of the customer. One of the things that surprises me, or I guess intrigues me about change, the thing that keeps me interested in it, is how we see change. It's out there all the time. We see it, and yet we don't react to it. That's not a good or a bad thing. I mean, I always think about my wife. She and I can look at exactly the same thing, and it's always amazing how we see it completely differently, because we live in our heads. Basically, that's where we live. So we see this change, and we set up patterns in our lives. The only way we can actually get through the day is the fact that we set up patterns to let us get through. You couldn't wake up and get here this morning if you had to think about all the decisions you've already made. You know, we all dress in a very routine way. As a matter of fact, most of us probably do things exactly the same way every day. But you couldn't tie your shoes if you had to think about, well, which piece of the shoelace should I pick up now and which piece should I pick up next? Just impossible. So we set patterns in our lives to get through them. I think you've seen this. You know, this FedEx, I saw probably a half a dozen or a dozen signs on the way up today. Everybody's seen this, right? Now, it's probably either one of the cleverest or one of the most misused logos I've ever recognized. The whole FedEx logo is built around its image of delivery, moving forward, fast service, okay? Now, in that logo, as you look at it, can you see the arrowhead? You know, the head of an arrow? Do we all see that? You see the arrowhead in there? I mean, how many times have you looked at that logo? Well, for those of you who don't see the arrowhead, I'm gonna show it to you, and you'll never see this sign the same way again. If you look at the E and the X, the white space joining the E and the X, do you see the arrowhead? Everybody see it? Have we got it? Did you see it before? And the fact of the matter is, you've seen that sign 1,000 times, okay? And really, I'd like to talk to somebody about to FedEx about it, because I think it's a brilliant logo, but nobody ever sees it. So change is there. It's in front of us, but we rarely react to it. I don't know if people know Rockwell, but he was famous about 30 or 40 years ago, particularly in the United States. And the reason I chose this, though, is because of the detail. If you look at it, you can see everything. You know, you can see the little boy, you can see in bed, you can see out the window, you can see the lamp, you can see the detail in the picture. That's where we live. Every day we sit and live in a Rockwell. Every day we want the comfort of knowing what's around us. The issue with leaders and the issue with change is the Monet on your right. You can kind of see a bridge, and you can kind of see some flowers, you can kind of see a pond there. And that's the problem that leaders have. That's the problem that you have. That's the problem that you have leading your organizations through change. You have to build this vision for people, but you're really not sure what it is. So it's very difficult for you to communicate it. As a leader, what you have to do is be able to get people out of the comfort of that Rockwell they're living in, and you've got to move them to your vision of a Monet. Not the easiest thing in the world to do. I'll give you an example there. You all, I understand, are in the car business. If you remember, as I do, back in the early 90s, the car phones that you used to have, those big bricks, and they used to bolt into the floor of your car. I used to have one of those. And when we decided to move to the United States, when I had a chance to move from Canada to the United States, I got the family together and, you know, told them that we had a chance to move to the land of milk and honey, where the streets are paved in gold, painted a great vision, and they all bought into it. And during one of the pauses, my wife said, yeah, but what are you going to do with your car phone? And that's just what change comes down to. Anybody got a sense of where you are relative to this customer experience you're trying to build in? Where would you say? Anybody offer up an idea? Take any idea. Where's that? Positive perception? Yeah, that's what I heard. That's exactly where I would have put you. That's exactly where I would have put you. Because I see you've gone through this awareness, you're starting to get some understanding, you're bringing in some new information, you're positive about it, but I'm not really feeling people are ready to take the big jump. We'll take you to an example that I've worked through. Whirlpool is an organization that I've been working. I don't know if many of you know Whirlpool. I don't think it's a brand here. Is it a brand here? Oh, it is? Okay. Whirlpool is like a $12 billion company. It makes about $800 million a year in earnings. We've been working with them for 4 or 5 years now. And they're a highly product company. That's what they do. They deliver product. What they were trying to do, the trade is obviously between the company, Whirlpool, and its customers. The trade is sitting there. And the trade sells all kinds of washing machines. You probably know you can go into a distributor and you'll see 12 different brands sitting on the floor. They're all white. They all look the same. Well, how do you differentiate? How do you get customers to come back and buy your brand? That was the problem that the CEO at Whirlpool posed. He got us involved. We've been working with them for many years. We have not changed them from a product company into a customer intimate company. They will never be a customer intimate company. Their fundamental strategy is their product and their global manufacturing platform. What we have done is completely refocus their organization around the customer. All of their management training is customer-driven now. Each employee in the organization has been to a training program where the employees are asked to think about what they can do for the customer to make life better for the customer. We've rebranded their call centers. They used to have combined call centers. We found out that people calling in had different needs at the call centers, and a lot of the metrics around the call centers work for one brand and not another. We split those apart. We've put together in-depth communication plans. We've rechanged and rebranded the repair service. You might ask, you know, does this end up in new business? Well, last year we were asked to prove that, and we did. We did tests, particularly in Europe, around the repair service, and we can show that by taking certain actions, we can create more loyal customers, thus making the direct link between what they're doing and their financials. There are 4 basic behaviors that we think about when we think about customer loyalty. Number 1, we think about people that are going to repurchase with you. I think we all agree that's a good thing. We think about people that are going to advocate for us, meaning they're going to recommend, word of mouth, they're going to tell other people. We think about people who comply. That's becoming more and more important in organizations that are trying to be more efficient and effective. By compliance, we mean, you know, you may want people to use the web more. You know, you may want to transfer a price increase down. So how are they going to comply with you? And finally, we think about people who are going to expand their relationship with us. They may have one vehicle with you now. Someone else in the family is coming into the market. Are they coming back with you to expand? So that's what we think about as a loyal customer, something that we're trying to build.